Inspirational Plato quotes. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Every heart sings a song, incomplete, until another heart whispers back. Those who wish to sing always find a song. At the touch of a lover, everyone becomes a poet. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior to yourself. The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. Don't train a child to learn by force or harshness, but direct them to it by what amuses their minds, so that you may be better able to discover with accuracy the peculiar bent of the genius of each. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. According to Greek mythology, humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and a head with 2 faces. Fearing their power, Zeus split them into 2 separate parts, condemning them to spend their lives in search of their other halves. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. If women are expected to do the same work as men, we must teach them the same things. In politics we presume that everyone who knows how to get votes knows how to administer a city or a state. When we are ill, we do not ask for the handsomest physician, or the most eloquent one. There are 2 things a person should never be angry at: what they can help, and what they cannot. How can you prove whether at this moment we are sleeping, and all our thoughts are a dream, or whether we are awake, and talking to one another in the waking state? Those who are able to see beyond the shadows and lies of their culture will never be understood, let alone believed, by the masses. Bodily exercise, when compulsory, does no harm to the body, but knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. An empty vessel makes the loudest sound, so they that have the least wit are the greatest babblers. No man should bring children into the world who is unwilling to persevere to the end in their nature and education. Musical innovation is full of danger to the state, for when modes of music change, the fundamental laws of the state always change with them. Excellence is not a gift, but a skill that takes practice. We don't act rightly because we are excellent; in fact we achieve excellence by acting rightly. The soul takes nothing with her to the next world but her education and her culture. At the beginning of the journey to the next world, one's education and culture can either provide the greatest assistance, or else act as the greatest burden, to the person who has just died. Love is born into every human being. It calls back the halves of our original nature together. It tries to make one out of two and heal the wound of human nature. I thought to myself, I am wiser than this man. Neither of us probably knows anything that is really good, but he thinks he has knowledge, when he has not, while I, having no knowledge, do not think I have. There is in every one of us, even those who seem to be most moderate, a type of desire that is terrible, wild, and lawless. I would teach children music, physics, and philosophy, but most importantly music, for the patterns in music and all the arts are the keys to learning. A hero is born among 100, a wise man is found among 1,000, but an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. If a man can be properly said to love something, it must be clear that he feels affection for it as a whole, and does not love part of it to the exclusion of the rest. To be afraid of death is only another form of thinking that one is wise when one is not. It is to think that one knows what one does not know. No one knows with regard to death whether it is not really the greatest blessing that can happen to man, but people dread it as though they were certain it is the greatest evil. How could they see anything but the shadows if they were never allowed to move their heads? Either we shall find what it is we are seeking, or at least we shall free ourselves from the persuasion that we know what we do not know. Knowledge which is acquired under compulsion has no hold on the mind. Therefore do not use compulsion, but let early education be a sort of amusement. You will then be better able to discover the child's natural bent. The society we have described can never grow into a reality or see the light of day, and there will be no end to the troubles of states, or indeed, my dear Glaucon, of humanity itself, till philosophers become rulers in this world, or till those we now call kings and rulers really and truly become philosophers, and political power and philosophy thus come into the same hands. That's what education should be, I said, the art of orientation. Educators should devise the simplest and most effective methods of turning minds around. It shouldn't be the art of implanting sight in the organ, but should proceed on the understanding that the organ already has the capacity, but is improperly aligned and isn't facing the right way. In practice, people who study philosophy too long become very odd birds, not to say thoroughly vicious, while even those who are the best of them are reduced by philosophy to complete uselessness as members of society. The difficulty, my friends, is not in avoiding death, but in avoiding unrighteousness, for that runs faster than death. The man who finds that in the course of his life he has done a lot of wrong often wakes up at night in terror, like a child with a nightmare, and his life is full of foreboding. But the man who is conscious of no wrongdoing is filled with cheerfulness and with the comfort of old age. Musical training is a more potent instrument than any other, because rhythm and harmony find their way into the inward places of the soul. The man who makes everything that leads to happiness depends upon himself, and not upon other men, has adopted the very best plan for living happily. This is the man of moderation, the man of manly character and of wisdom. According to Diotima, love is not a god at all, but is rather a spirit that mediates between people and the objects of their desire. Love is neither wise nor beautiful, but is rather the desire for wisdom and beauty. In order for man to succeed in life, God provided him with two means, education and physical activity. Not separately, one for the soul and the other for the body, but for the two together. With these means, man can attain perfection. The most effective kind of education is that a child should play amongst lovely things. Those who don't know must learn from those who do.